How's it going, guys? It's Rasharn here with a look inside mind and body integration. So, today I wanted to talk about two concepts. The first one being producing, and the second one being consuming. And the reason I'm bringing these up is because when I think about life, when I think about living holistically, I think about balance in everything that I do. And so when it comes to producing and consuming, I look at producing as more of output, giving, creating, uh, externalizing something. I look at consuming as taking in, receiving, internalizing, withdrawing into its opposite, the opposite and counterpart to producing. When I look at society overall, I look at the fact that, the majority of people are in one deficit or the other. Or, sorry, not deficit. They're in one extreme or the other, often to a deficit. And so, with that being said, a lot of when we think about consumption, most of us are consuming things through through technology, through music, through different forms of instant gratification that was a result of what somebody else created and what someone else produced and put out there. So in terms of life and humans being social beings and how people are going back and forth with each other, that process is happening. Someone is producing something and someone else is consuming it, and that's perfectly fine on a macro scale. On a micro scale, it could be things can become more imbalanced, and the way that can pan out is you could have someone who produces more than they consume. And an example of this is someone who works all the time but doesn't take enough vacation, doesn't take enough rest in their life, doesn't allow themselves to recuperate from the output that they generated. So what will happen to someone that overproduces is that they will burn out. This could be physical fatigue. This could be an emotional burnout and shutdown, where that person kind of starts coming off numb and just basically numb and lacking physical sense and orientation to those around them. This could also be some type of mental fatigue, something with their adrenals being affected. And so, that being said, again, producing in and of itself is a good thing, putting something out to the world. But when you do it to an extreme and you don't consume or give back to yourself or receive what is needed to nourish our bodies, our minds, our souls, that can lead to like I said, a deficit or an imbalance. And so, on the flip side, if someone is consuming too much, they can end up receiving too much. They could take on a gluttonous state, a lethargic state. They could basically become more sloth-like, and so that is basically the other extreme, where they are taking in so much that their dopamine is being affected. They're not using the energy that they're generating. So they're just building up energy, and it's not being transmuted. It's not going anywhere. So this could lead to a different type of fatigue, which is a more inactive fatigue, as opposed to burning out, and that being the cause of fatigue if you're producing too much. Ideally, you want to be in the middle. You want to produce as much as you consume. This is also, again, me differentiating that there is nothing wrong with producing. There's nothing wrong with consuming. Normally, especially consuming, tends to get a very negative connotation. But that's because what we observe, especially with the social media and smartphones, and just fast food, all the different ways that convenience has been made available to us. The tendency to overconsume has skyrocketed for sure over this past generation. So I think some other signs of overconsumption would be like an incessant need for more consumption. And a lot of times there's an emotional bypass. There's emotional bypassing that is happening when people are consuming a lot. They're either avoiding some type of action or production that they could be achieving, or they're just avoiding dealing with something, and they'll use the action of consumption to stall, to bypass, to escape, and that will, like I said, cause imbalance. This can be physically, emotionally, spiritually. You can even spiritually overconsume something. You can overconsume reading materials. You can overconsume philosophy. You can overconsume instructional videos. You can overconsume motivational speeches. There's even in that realm, you can overconsume. That has definitely been a personal lesson that took some time for me to internalize. That there are many different ways that we can overconsume, and we might think, oh well, I'm doing great in this one area, but in this other area, I'm out of alignment, out of balance. So that's what I had to share for today. Just if you find the time, look over where you find yourself either overworking or overconsuming. Or when I say working, I mean producing. If you find yourself putting out too much in one area of your life, or not taking in too much in another area, that's an opportunity to bring some balance, even if it doesn't seem like it at that time, or that it seems like making those type of changes would be uncomfortable. I think that a lot of that is just cultural and societal programming and conditioning that can cause us to feel that way. That making a change that is in alignment with the human body, with our spirit, with our just how we should naturally operate, just in our biology. That getting back to that state can feel uncomfortable if we're already out of our natural state. So that's all I have. Wishing you guys a great rest of your day and your weeks. So take care, and peace and blessings.